but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title.
No, I have no idea what that means. Joining me now, Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, Fox News contributor, Byron York, chief political correspondent at the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor. I don't know, Charlie, help me out here. What does that have to? What does A doesn't lead to B? I mean, I don't understand what he was saying. And by the way, he just disenfranchised 14 million Democrats who voted for him in the primary. I wouldn't say that's defending democracy. And Donald Trump took a bullet for democracy, if you want to talk about that. But why did he drop out? He didn't tell us last night why he dropped out, did he?
No, he did not. And it just, I think, further underscores the fact that obviously the only reason he dropped out is because he was losing in the polls and they didn't like it. And, you know, they're all in favor of democracy until it costs them an election. And then they're going to want to throw it all out. The other thing I don't get is everybody talking about how selfless he is. There's nothing selfless about the decision he made. He got forced out. It wasn't like his own decision there.
Yeah, Byron, it was a putsch. It was a Soviet-style communist putsch.
And the American people deserve to know what had actually happened because President Biden was absolutely, totally ready to go. He said it was full speed ahead. 7 days ago, he contracts COVID. He goes into isolation. And then, under pressure from his party's power brokers, he decides that he's going to withdraw from the presidential race shortly after saying he was in it for the long run. And the American people deserve an explanation of how this happened. President Biden had a chance to give that last night, and he didn't do it.
Is this going to be a campaign issue, Charlie Hurt, you think?
I think the problem is actually it goes to the heart of credibility. And the thing with Kamala Harris, what did she know? When did she know it? Why did she spend all this time trying to cover this up? It goes to the heart of credibility. And I think that she has a real credibility problem anyway, even the things that people tend to make fun of her about, like her laugh and the weird things that she says. And her evasiveness about responsibility for the border and things like that. It all goes to credibility. And so, big picture, in terms of, how long, what did she do for how long to sort of keep this cover-up going, goes to the heart of her credibility. And, a politician who loses her credibility, they don't get it back. And you don't recover from that, and it colors everything. You don't regain popularity once you lose that credibility.
I don't know. It's like, what did she know and when did she know it? I mean, they're making him out to be now these same Democrats who just worked this putsch, as I call it, Soviet-style putsch. They're saying he was a great president, perhaps the greatest president we've ever had, better than George Washington even. Now, I was there. I know he wasn't any better than Washington because I was there at that time. But, I mean, what did she know and when did she know it? I mean, that's it. Now, Byron, one of the things, though, you're saying the Dems have gone to the worst possible candidate. Why is this?
Well, I think she probably is the worst possible candidate, and I think she proved that in her 2019 run for the Democratic nomination. It wasn't good enough to make it to 2020. So I think she kind of proved that at that time. And what we're going to see, though, is the Democrats didn't have a lot of choice in this. She is the Vice President of the United States. She's the constitutional successor to the president. If he were to die or become disabled, she would be the president of the United States. In addition, the Democratic Party is obsessed with identity, especially race and gender. So the question is, would they push aside the first woman vice president of color in favor of somebody who might poll a little better? I don't think that would happen. So I do think that even if they had a slower process, they might end up in the same place, which is Kamala Harris.
Oh, really? What fun. But, Charlie, on the point that Jason raised, the identification, Jason Riley, who was African-American columnist for the Wall Street Journal, a very smart guy. We all know him. He's writing in the Journal today, Kamala is not the change the Democrats need. So it echoes what Byron is saying from a different perspective.
Yeah. And when you do you play all these identity politics and you wind up with the DEI candidate, a DEI vice president, who, by the way, even after Joe Biden picked her as his vice president, he talked about her as the sort of the chief DEI person in his administration. So the idea that they're running away from this now is kind of funny. But the ultimate thing that exposes Democrats for everything is they're open. Democrat media is openly talking about how she can't pick a popular governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, because he's Jewish. That she can't pick him because of his religion. That's where we are with these people. And I can't even believe that I'm repeating it. I can't believe that they are saying it openly in public. It's just shocking. But this is the real end result of identity politics and DEI toxin.
Byron, who is she going to pick? Who do you think she's going to pick?
Well, all the speculation is that she is looking for a white man to be her running mate. Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, who was an astronaut, seems to have an inside track on this, possibly Josh Shapiro. I know what Charlie just said, but he's still certainly in the running. But it does look like people like Gretchen Whitmer, who had been considered and mentioned about this, who has said she wouldn't take it, are just not in the running anymore.
Thank you, gentlemen. Charlie Hurt and Byron York.